Hi, everybody. Welcome to episode 9 of 90 Minute Cocktail Hour. I am Mike Guccione, your host, and I also own Driftwood and Dune Photography, do wedding photography, portrait photography, all that fun stuff. Yeah, we kind of took an unintentional 3-month hiatus over the summer. Things got a little crazy. Time got away from me. Kiddos were home and activities were happening and vacations were happening and weddings were happening. And this just kind of fell by the wayside. But I knew starting in September, I was going to want to pick it back up. And we are starting off with an awesome episode. I'm really, really stoked with who's here today. I also just want to say real quick, excuse me, if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to this podcast wherever you're listening to it. If you're on YouTube, make sure you subscribe to the channel. If you're on Apple Podcasts, make sure you follow the podcast. And Spotify, I'm not sure what you do on Spotify. It's subscribe, follow, something, whatever you do on Spotify. Jill's agreeing with me.
I'm like, I guess. I just search things, so I'm like, yeah, I think you subscribe.
So, yes. So joining me today is Jill Sahner. Jill is wonderful, wonderful wedding photographer. I'm really stoked she's here. And why don't you introduce yourself a little bit?
Yeah, so I'm Jill. As Mike said, I am a wedding photographer. Honestly, before we started this, I was like, who am I? I actually don't know. Well, I live in New Jersey. It's a debate as to whether it's central or north, but we're in Union County area, so an hour to the west of New York City. I have been doing photography since I was 12, so I don't know how old I am. I think I'm 32, so it's been a while. I always have to ask my husband, I'm like, how old are we? And he's like, I'm older than you. And I'm like, no, but we're the same age, mentally. I'll stop now.
So, again, I'm really excited that you're here.
Thanks.
I'm excited because I realize I don't know you all that well. And yet I feel like we've been in the same circle of people for a very long time. And I've heard about you for a very, very long time. And I know, it sounds really odd.
I'm an enigma.
Well, all right. So these are the things that let me start with this. I have always admired your work. I think you are an incredibly talented photographer. And I look at the work that you post and I'm like, wow, how did you do that? So that's first and foremost. I really admire and look up to you as a photographer, artist, whatever you want to call it. Second, we actually got to work together.
Mike.
That's
He's
why
emotional.
That's why the filter.
Yeah, sure.
Well, before we started recording, me and Jill I told Jill I wanted to take a little picture of the screen so that I could share it to social media. And before I did it, she's like, wait, why do I look so good? Why does my face look so smooth?
I didn't say that. Oh my God, no, I didn't say that. I was like, why do I look so smooth? I was like, looks like there's a filter on me. And I was like, there's no filter. I'm not trying to filter anything here, Mike. So let's be real to the conversation. Mike's like, yeah. She was like, wow, I look amazing.
Yeah, no, sorry, that was a mischaracterization. You were genuinely trying to figure out why your skin looks so smooth.
Yeah, technical issues. I know. I was like, because my skin does not look this good, but we actually still don't know. So I will continue to be an enigma.
Yes, well, let's all just admire Jill's beautiful complexion.
My beautiful complexion.
If you're not watching this on YouTube or watching the video, this probably means nothing to you. But
just imagine.
But if you cry, I don't know. There's got to be some remove tears feature or something.
I never cry, so don't worry. Stone cold.
Where was I going with that? Oh yeah, so I was complimenting you on your photography. And we also got to work together this past June for the first time, which was super, super fun. And it confirmed something that I had heard about you from several mutual friends of ours, which is that you are hilarious and low-key hilarious.
I'm only
Um,
low key.
well, maybe low key is not the right way to say it. Maybe unexpectedly.
Okay, fair.
Um,
I'll take that.
well, let's. So again, like based on your social media presence and like your
Hmm.
website, you put off like a very polished, consistent feed, right? And yeah, I don't know, like texting with you and working with you on the day of your wedding, like it was just you're amazing at like commanding the day and posing and doing what you do, but then you just throw in these little like side comments that I just were so freaking funny, and it was I don't know I had such a blast working with you. I'll just say that.
I think you said to me too. I think we were like, I think it was cocktail hour, and you were like, "You're like a lot funnier than you seem on Instagram." And I was like, "Okay, Mike, like, I'll work on that."
Yeah, that was a nice little passive aggressive
Yeah, I was
compliment.
like, okay. Yeah, I was like, okay, I'll try to be more of a freak on Instagram. Thank you. Well, I
Well,
mean, I'm a personality hire. Like, let's be real.
well, so let's back it up a second because one of the things that, well, really the only thing that I have people prepare for this podcast is to kind of talk about like the path that led you into wedding like photography, but then like wedding photography specifically. And you already kind of mentioned it. You started taking photos when you were 12, but I'm also like curious, and this is kind of like where I have people start, like, and you can start earlier if you want, but I'm always kind of curious what people's mentality was like when you were in high school, and like if you went to college, like what your mentality was during that time, and like where you saw your life going, and then like what actually wound up happening. So
Yeah.
wherever you want to start with that, go for it.
Well, Mike, I was born on Christmas Day of 1992. And I always knew I wanted to be a photographer. No, I'm just kidding. I mean, like, kind of. So I guess, like, I'll just start with, like, when I was little, like, as in, like, preschool age. There go my dogs barking if you can hear them, but they're my children, so let it happen. When I was, like, in preschool, I started getting really into, like, drawing. And, like, I always, like, loved being creative. I loved drawing. And at that point, I was, like, an incredibly gifted artist. Like, for a preschooler, like, I understood like perspective and like all these things that like my teachers were like, why does she like know what this is? And I was like, Doug. So like I wasn't doing it intentionally. It was just kind of like something that came naturally to me. Very quickly, the drawing skills kind of like fell behind some of my other peers who actually became like talented artists and like painters and could draw and like I was drawing like cartoons basically. But I always just kind of like really I feel like that's how I channeled my energy was like through being creative. Like, I was never athletic. I was never like on sports teams successfully. Like, I played softball for one season and it was a travesty, so we don't speak of that. But I just like loved being creative. I feel like my love of creativity went very well hand in hand with my love of animals. So I love animals, obsessed with dogs. And then I slowly became obsessed with horses, so I am a horse girl. Recovering. No, just kidding. I mean, I would still do the horse thing if I could, but it's just very expensive and time consuming and dangerous. But
So like you like rode horses?
yeah, so when I was 9, I saw the movie Spirit, Stallion of the Cimarron, shout out DreamWorks, and I was just like obsessed. I was like, horses are great. Like, I know that they were like animated and drawn, like they weren't real, but I was just like, wow, that's so cool. So I started riding when I was 9. The main like barn near my area, I think 9 was like the youngest age you could be to start riding. Like, I think the movie had come out before then, but I don't know semantics. But basically, I started riding when I was 9, and a lot of the time I was like, this is pretty scary. Like, horses are scary, but I loved them so much. And I think it was like around the time I turned 12, my dad had gotten me this little like Sony point and shoot. Like, it was like maybe 1 megapixel. Like, I don't even know how it worked. Like, I actually, like, I remember it. It was like this little like block, and I was like, wow, this is amazing. And I would take these horrible photos of my horse. Like literally, I honestly don't even know what they looked like. They must have been so bad. Like it was probably, I think I had like a an LG flip phone at the time. Like it was probably like similar quality to that camera phone. And I just loved it so much. And I believe it was maybe like a year later or so that my parents got me my first like legitimate camera, and it was like the original Canon Digital Rebel. Like it was, that was
Hmm.
what it was called. Like there were no numbers attached to it. The XT I think was the next one, but like it was like the original Canon Digital Rebel. I was like, I'm old. I mean, at the time I was a child, but now I'm like, I'm old now. Um, and I like loved that thing. I would bring it to the barn every day because like I was the type of horse girl that went every single day, and like I would just like hang out with the horses all day. Like all my friends were at the barn. Like that was like my thing. Like my friends at school were like cheerleaders and like did normal things. I like went to the barn, and everyone always thinks I say bar, but I'm saying barn, BARN. Like I wasn't going to the bar when I was 12. Um, and so like I was just always taking photos, like just like having fun with it. And then I honestly don't remember. Eventually, well, I actually had a traumatic incident where I went to Busch Gardens in Florida, and on the way home, my camera was stolen out of my bag because I stupidly checked it because I was a child. Like I didn't know what was happening. And that was really sad because I had all these photos of these like baby gorillas and like all these things that I was so excited to edit.
Hmm.
Well, I guess that's the other thing. So I taught myself like Photoshop and like all those sorts of things to like edit my photos one by one because like that's what you did at the time. Like shot in JPEG, shot on like action mode, like edited one by one each photo. And yeah, that was like probably my villain origin story when my camera was stolen out of my bag. I was never quite the same. Um, I was like, I don't know if I've ever been that upset in my life. But then my parents were like, it's like, fine, we will get you a new camera. This is like the one thing you love in life. And I was like, okay, amazing. So they got me the Digital Rebel XT, I believe was the next one. So I was really moving up in the ranks. I was still shooting in JPEG. And from there, I started doing like photos of people like riding and like at horse shows and like the girls, like my friends at the barn with their horses and stuff like that. And like, I think I started charging people for some reason. Like I was like, I'm an entrepreneur. Like let's let's bring in the big bucks. And I think I was charging like $75 for like me to just stand there and take photos for like an undefined period of time. So I was rich. Like I was raking it in. And yeah, I mean, like it was obviously not like a full time job, but I didn't work. Like I didn't have like a high school job. Like that's what I did. I did like photos at the barn. I did photos at horse shows. Through all of that, I kind of taught myself, and thanks to MySpace, how to like build websites and like lightly HTML code and like a
Hmm.
little bit of CSS and like all that kind of stuff. So like I was a jack of all trades. Like I was learning all the things that would eventually like fund my life, but I didn't know that. So I built the website for the barn that I rode at, and like I don't know what was happening. I was like, this is my job. Um, all that to say, I didn't think that that could sustain me making $75 a month. So I was like, I'll go to college and be normal. So I ended up going to Bryant University in Rhode Island, which like no one knows why. I just like thought it was pretty, and I was like, sure, this is nice. And I studied marketing. I've literally never used anything I studied in marketing, and I also worked in marketing after I graduated and didn't use any of it. So I'm sure my parents would love to know that that was basically a useless degree.
Well,
But I studied marketing. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to cut you off for 1 second because
Yeah,
I there's a lot in there that I want to touch on, but the marketing, business degree thing, like I did the same exact thing. Like I actually
yeah,
went to Northeastern in Boston. We both have that like New England thing going
yeah,
on. And you know, at the time, the decision was kind of based on like, well, Boston's like a college town. Northeastern, like they have this 5 year co-op program, and like that seems like kind of cool. Um, but like, and I try not to be too hard on myself, but like my decisions really didn't lack or really didn't have very much like self awareness, because like
oh,
I am not like a city guy. Like I don't like the city. I don't like being around
yeah.
like lots, generally being around like lots and lots of people.
Humans,
Um,
yeah.
yeah. Like aside from weddings, like that's kind of something different. But like I don't know. Now that I have a house, like I just want people to like, yeah, you stay over there, and like I'll stay over here. Um,
Right.
but like, yeah, so and I also graduated with a marketing degree, and I worked in marketing research for like a year, and then wound up getting fired from that job, and that was actually where I picked up my first Canon Rebel, and I think it was like the Canon Rebel XS or something like that.
Oh,
Um,
see, I was long before your time.
you were, yes, yeah. I mean, you were. Like I really didn't pick up photography seriously until I was like, how old was I? Maybe 23, 24 at that time. So, and up until that point, I just had like the Canon, like point and shoots, like those little,
Yep.
I don't know, I forget what they were called, but
Power
those
shot?
little power shot. Yes. Yes. I think I had
Oh,
like the
I've had a
SU.
yeah.
You've had a few power shots.
Oh, I've had plenty of power shots in my time. Like,
But I had a similar experience, like an origin story where, not that my camera was stolen, but I went on this awesome spring break vacation one year. And I had actually, before I had the Canon Power Shots, I had this Olympus digital camera. It was like this
mm,
Olympus digital camera where like you slid the thing over, and then like
yep.
the lens came out, like it went like zzz, like
Yeah. Like a taser.
yeah. And I had gone, like I was in California. My roommate at the time was from California in college, and like me and a couple of our friends like went to go visit him for like spring break, and we had done like all this cool stuff. We went like to the Getty Museum. We went like surfing. We went snowboarding. We like did all this cool stuff, and I had so many awesome pictures that I was like so pumped to get home and like go through. And then the last day of like snowboarding, or the last run, it must have like fallen out of my pocket. Like I had like these pockets that had like zippers on them, and like the last run, it must have like fallen out of my pocket. So that camera is probably still rusting away somewhere on Big Bear Mountain in California. Um,
And
but
you had zippers. You were prepared.
I mean, I guess, but I also probably shouldn't have been snowboarding with like a digital camera, in
That's
my
fair.
rinky-dink zipper pocket. What are you gonna do?
You live and you learn. Villain
You live
origin
in.
story.
Okay, so you graduated with a marketing degree. You're working in marketing, and it's just not doing it for you.
Well, I don't know if I would say that honestly. Like, so I graduated with marketing. I started working at the company that I had been interning for, like, while I was at school. The company was based in New York. I just, like, always figured I would come back to this area, even though literally all my friends were in Boston. So I started working for that company in sales. And I like didn't know for some reason what the job entailed, but it was cold calling, and I was like, wow, this is like actually the worst thing I've ever done in my life, and it was really, really tough. Um, so I did that for a couple years, and then eventually was able to move on to the marketing team, and I did mostly like graphic design and like branding and stuff like that because like going back to all the stuff I like taught myself in high school, I like already knew how to do that, and I would start doing the like redesigning like their PowerPoint decks and stuff like that. So that's kind of like how I moved into marketing. And the company was it was pretty small. It was kind of like a startup when I started there, but like grew while I was there. I was there for like 6 years, I think. And I was on a very small marketing team, so we ended up doing like 8 million things. Like I was doing like way more than my actual role. And it was just like incredibly taxing. And I did like the creativity and freedom I had because I was pretty much the one like creating their brand guidelines and like literally designing every single asset and like working on their website and all that kind of stuff, which like in hindsight I'm like, was I qualified to do that? Like I'm not sure. But I mean it was like a good way for me to kind of like see how a normal company like operates and just kind of like understand things beyond just like I literally used to like build my own websites in Microsoft front page, which like doesn't exist anymore. But like it taught me how to use like WordPress and like normal things that were like actually going to be beneficial in the long run for like my own business, which I didn't know at the time, obviously. But I guess it was like, I think it was in 2018. I was on a brief stint of trying to become an interior design influencer, which like didn't go well. Actually, it like went okay. I like met the Property Brothers, which was kind of cool, but like that was a side quest that we don't need to go into. But I basically started. I like took out my camera, which I guess it was like a Canon 30D, which like I don't even know what that means. Like I don't think that exists anymore. And I was like taking photos of our apartment. So we lived in Jersey City at the time, and I think I like posted on Instagram like, oh, like if anyone wants to shoot, like I'm getting back into photography. Like I said, this was like 2018, so like I graduated college in 2015, so like I really hadn't touched my camera in like years. Like I just kind of like fell off it. Um, and I had a girl I went to high school with reach out to me, and she was like, "Oh, we like recently got engaged, and we our like photographer didn't show up. Like we got engaged at Grand Central, and our photographer didn't show up, and like we want to go back and like do photos there. Like, would you do them?" And I was like, "Oh my God, yes!" Like I've literally never photographed two humans together, but like we'll figure it out. And I don't know if you've ever shot at Grand Central, but there's no windows. It's very dark. You need a permit. I was like, I don't know what's happening. I think I went and bought a tripod on the way there because I was like, it's gonna be so dark. Like I actually like did kind of have the foresight to be like, it's gonna be there's gonna be no natural light and like I don't know what I'm
Yeah,
doing.
that's actually a
Um,
really good. I mean, it's actually from a practical standpoint, it's like not great, but like
no, no,
technical
like I
from a
would never do that
technical
now.
from like a technical standpoint, like that's actually really it was great that you had that like that thought of like, oh my god,
Yeah,
I'm not going to be able to like handhold this because it's going to be so dark in there. And
yeah,
this was like way before like mirrorless and like being able
yeah.
to crank up your ISO to like 6400 or whatever and it not be an issue, you know.
No, we were still shooting on action mode, Mike. Like there was no, there was nothing going on up here. Like I'm pointing to my head for those listening. No, I didn't know what was happening. I also didn't know how to like pose people.
Mm.
So that was also something that I had to kind of figure out on the fly. But long story short, I don't think I charged them much. I think they were happy. Seems to go well. And like to speed things up, basically, I just started like because of that. Then someone else booked me that I also knew from high school, who I've done like other shoots for them since then. So I'm like, hopefully, I've redeemed myself. But I shot their proposal, and then I was shooting like bridal showers and stuff like that. So like, kind of like the natural stage of life I was in was like people getting engaged, people having showers, like that kind of stuff. So I think someone like posted about me in the New Jersey Brides Facebook group, which like is a scary place sometimes, but like in that moment, in that moment it was great, and I was like, okay, amazing, I'm an entrepreneur again. So all that to say, I was like working my full time job, like commuting into the city every day, and then on the weekends, like shooting random events and like engagements and things, and just kind of like learning along the way. And like becoming like a normal person that doesn't like use a tripod because that was crazy work.
So did you wait?
Crazy
Hold on.
work.
Did you
Yeah,
actually use the tripod during that session?
I did. I had to. It was so dark in there. The shutter was like malfunctioning. And that was
I
like before motion blur was cool, so I was like really trying to get it sharp. But you
I
know,
mean, if you were to go back and look at those images now, they would probably be super cool, super trendy. Not gonna lie.
and maybe because right now it's trendy to be like I don't know what I'm doing, and like at the time like really didn't know what I was doing, so I was like help. I had a permit. I don't even know how I got that. I think they got it because I was like I don't know how to act.
I
I don't
I
know how
actually
to
didn't know
email.
you needed a permit to shoot in there. I did a session there recently, and we
Oh
just
well,
went for it
they're gonna
in
get
the
you.
middle of the morning rush hour.
Oh God.
Yeah, it was
Well,
not
you know.
ideal. But all
Yeah, but
right.
it's
So,
dark
but
in
I
there,
do
right?
think there's something kind of cool to like, and I'll speak for myself. So like one of the first weddings that I ever shot was like a destination wedding in Savannah. And it was like, a friend of mine from high school reached out to me and was like, I know you take photos, like, would you be willing to shoot our wedding? And there was that like innocent, um, like you don't know what you don't know, where you're like, oh yeah, I'll do that. Like I'll go to another
Yeah.
state and like shoot a wedding, and I've never really shot one before. Like there was that part of me that was like so eager to say yes, and I didn't know what I was saying yes to, right? And I think
Yeah.
like there's something to that when you're like early on where I don't know, I feel like the universe kind of protects you a little bit and gives you people that are like willing to be your like little test runs, you know? And they're just like so stoked that you're there and like happy with the work. And I don't know, like that, like, so for me, that experience of like shooting that wedding in Savannah was like, it kind of, I don't want to say it launched me, but like it definitely kind of opened my eyes up to all the things that I was going to have to learn and have to know in like in order to be successful. So kind of I like walked away from that experience being like, I'm kind of glad that's over because I had like so much anxiety about it, but also,
Hmm.
you know, okay, like I think these are my next moves, or like I think I kind of see like where I'm gonna have to work in order to like do this.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, I think it's also like you're kind of like blissfully unaware of like what you're actually saying yes to. Like I was like, oh, like amazing. They'll just like look at each other and like kiss. And then I was like, oh, it's like a little bit more than that. But it's like I honestly feel like the only way to like learn is to just do it and to kind of just like honestly like I feel like I faked it till I made it. Faked it till I made it like for so long and like sometimes I still am like, do I know what I'm doing? Like obviously, if anyone's listening that's booked me, don't be scared. I do know what I'm doing. But wait, I had a second shooter recently. I forget who it was, but every time there were people nearby, they like pointed to me and they were like, "It's her first time doing this. Like this is her first wedding." And I was like, "Can you stop telling people that?" This was like a few weeks ago. I was like, "Stop saying that. Why can't I remember who it was?" I was like dying though. I was like, "No, no, no!" Like, I was like, "No, I've been doing this for years." Like, no, I'm good. But yeah, for a while that they would have been correct and they would have been blowing up my spot. And I've been like, oh my god, stop! Like I'm figuring it out. But I think that's the thing. Like you do just kind of figure it out, and like I don't know. Like I feel like if I had to go back and like do things differently, I mean, maybe I would because maybe I would like shoot for other people versus just like I just like went into it and started shooting my own weddings and was like la 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 like this is great, figuring it all out. But it's like in hindsight, maybe if I had like worked with other people first, I would have been like, oh, okay, this is like what to expect and like what I should be doing and kind of like the correct rite of passage to like start shooting weddings from events and engagements and stuff like that. But you live and you learn. Like
Yeah,
you just got to send
but
it.
I think I think there can be like two schools of thought on that. Like I have gotten to know a lot of people in the industry because so I didn't go that route. Like I wound up, like second shooting for a bunch of
Yeah.
different people and then like lead shooting, for like other studios and my own business kind of like I book a decent amount for myself, weddings and like portrait sessions and stuff, but for the most part I'm shooting for other people. And I don't and I don't regret that because it's given me like freedom with my family where I'm not having to
Yeah.
do a lot of like the front end and back end stuff. Like I have most of my weekdays free to like be there with my wife and my kids. But I also like I definitely think there's something to people like yourself who just kind of like forged your own path and figured it out like and did it the way that you wanted to do it, right? Because like one of the things that I've struggled with, frankly, is like figuring out how I want to do things in my own business and not comparing myself to what I've seen other people do, right? And that's true in terms of like the creative aspect, right? Like I see things that other people do at weddings, I see things that other people post, and sometimes I try to replicate those things. Sometimes I like them, sometimes I don't. And the things that I like, I ask myself, do I like this because um, it's like popular or what other people are doing, or do I
Hmm.
like this because I genuinely like this?
Yeah.
And then same thing with like running my business, right? And like the way I interact with clients, like I've kind of had to find it. It's taken me some time to like find my own rhythm and like find my own I guess like my own voice, frankly, like my own the way that I want to be with my clients. So I think there's, a yin and a yang there. There's positives and negatives to both. So
Yeah.
I like applaud people who have the, you know, I guess it's courage, right? Like at the end of the day, it's like the courage to like forge your own path and not be so concerned with like what other people are doing.
I feel like it was also at the time I like had a full-time job. Like I didn't need to like rely on photography for money, and I also like didn't really know if I ever could. Like I didn't like go into it again. Like getting back into photography, I wasn't like this is like gonna be my job now. Like I was just like yay fun. Like I did it as a way to like channel creativity and like feel just to feel something again. Like I was like I gotta feel again, but like I was like working full time and like I think it was like well obviously 2020 was crazy town, but like I had these like intimate weddings and like elopements and like micro weddings, like all the things that were there at the time. And it was like actually, and I hate to say this because it was like literally such a devastating year for so many people, full of so much loss and just like such an awful scary time, but like it truly was like such a turning point in my business, which I think is like pretty common, honestly, for a lot of us. And like it was, I mean, it like enabled me to focus more on photography because I wasn't going into New York City every day. Like I was working remotely and I was able to do these like small events safely at a distance and then like edit at night and like not be commuting and then like it just kind of like let me focus more on that. And then I never went back to the office. Like I stayed remote and we moved to the suburbs and I had a car and like then I was able to kind of like really focus. And I think it's like I was shooting like 35 weddings a year on top of my full-time job and like I wanted to be dead, but but I was like I think this is what I want. And then it got to the point where I was like what am I doing? Like I'm not well. And I was like I can either like stop doing photography or I can quit my job. And so I quit my job. I quit in like November of 2021. So
Mm.
like pretty quickly after like the 2020 craziness. And it's like it's funny because I feel like people were like, "Oh my gosh, were you like so stressed like quitting?" And I was like, "No, because I felt so much better that I didn't have to also work all week on top of all these weddings." So I was like, "Oh wow, this is easy," because I was just like running myself so ragged and like had no time for anything. But yeah, it's like it was. I see like the benefits in like doing what I did and like having that full time job to like fall back on. Like I was never financially like oh my gosh, like what am I going to do? I was able to like build my business to the point where I like felt comfortable enough to quit and like go full time with it. But it's like obviously leading up to that, I did the whole like do every type of session, like do family sessions, do branding sessions, like do all the things and like see what you like. And I was like, ooh, family sessions are not good. Like I do not like these. Real scary. I was like, let's stick to adult humans at weddings.
That's funny. So, I think, yeah, I mean, you're definitely not alone. And like a common theme, on the podcast has been like that 2020 year and, how it was a turning point for a lot of people, in their businesses. It was kind of like well, I probably said this before, but I'll say it again. For me, like I had actually planned to go like full time with photography like early in 2020. Like I had given, and this was like maybe in January, February, I had like given my job notice that I was like leaving. And, in a weird way, like everything worked out. It worked out in a really, again, like kind of echo the same sentiments. Like, yeah, it was a really scary time and was really challenging for a lot of people. And of course was challenging for like me and my family. Like at the time, my oldest son was 1 or 2, and my wife was pregnant with our second, and so like there was a lot of uncertainty like around that and like doctor's appointments and like all that crazy stuff. But in any
Yeah.
case, I had like all this work lined up, and I was like set to leave my job, and then of course like everything grinded to a standstill. But even during that time, like we were taken care of. And then when things finally did like pick back up again in that fall, like it was kind of like game on. Like
Hmm.
I feel like from that point until now has been like pedal to the metal. Like let's go,
Yeah.
like let's do this. And yeah, I mean, for me, I think what happened was I kind of like I think for a lot of people there was this realization of like life is very short. Um, we don't have a ton of time. And for me, it was like, why am I going to spend my time doing something that I don't love doing?
Yeah.
And I saw photography as like a way to be creative and like do something fun. Because for me, at the end of the day, like it's got to be fun. Like right, wrong, or indifferent.
Hmm.
Like I want to be having fun, and
Yeah.
like 95% of the times at weddings, like I'm having fun. Like there's that 5% of times which is like stressful and chaotic, but for the most part, you're like getting to hang out with people on one of the best days of their life. So
Yeah.
like how is that not cool? How is that not the best? And I can see why people would think it's really stressful, and it can be. But what also started happening during the pandemic for me was like, and this is kind of how I like built up my network, like my freelance network, was like, you know, I would get a call the night before a wedding, like so and so just tested positive for COVID. Can
Hmm.
you like step in and shoot? And this is actually like how I wound up meeting like a bunch of like bigger studios and like got on this track of like meeting the people that would eventually lead me to like working for some of the people that I work for today that have like kept my calendar really really busy and have
Yeah.
sustained my my freelance business. So it was a really really interesting time, and I can definitely like echo that sentiment of I don't know, it was like I feel like for a lot of people it was like a nudge, like hey,
Yeah.
like you need to you need to take a leap.
Hmm. No, totally. Yeah. And it was like obviously scary and like I feel like it kind of felt like, well, so we also got engaged in 2020. So we were like talking about planning a wedding, and I was like, do we want to like plan a wedding right now? Like they're literally not happening. So it was kind of like funny because I was like, oh, let's like not do a wedding because like, are they going to happen? And then I was like, let me also quit my job for weddings. So it was kind of like, am I okay? Like what was the mindset there? But it all works out.
Yeah. So all right, so you go full time in 2021. And like what were like some of the bigger adjustments for you with that? Like going full time, not necessarily having the security of like a full time job. Like what did that look like for you?
I feel like I said, I was kind of to the point where I wasn't like disturbed by that. Like I was able to kind of like book out far enough in advance that I was like felt like pretty stable and secure, which like booking that far out obviously has like pros and cons. Like pro was I was like, I will make money. Con was, I was like I had no life, which like still holds true. But like it was kind of jarring to be like, okay, I just booked a wedding 2 years in advance and then the following year I have a friend that gets engaged and they're planning their wedding and they're like, what dates are you available? I was like, oh, I'm not ever. Like, I shan't attend. So I feel like that was kind of an adjustment where I was like, okay, I need to be okay with like not doing things that I previously wouldn't like think twice about. Like before I went full time, I had every weekend available. Well, that's a lie. When I was working and doing weddings, like when I was working full time and doing weddings, I had negative time available. But as a regular human who was not shooting on top of a full time job, like, yeah, like pretty much every weekend I was around, I could like hang out with my friends and like do all sorts of fun things. And it was kind of like being okay with that sacrifice. But to be honest, I have whatever the opposite of FOMO is. Like, I don't care to do anything ever. Like, I love just like laying down and like being inside and like not having anything planned. So I feel like I'm actually a very good person to do that because it's like, oh, if I can't make it, I'm kind of like, that's fine. I might not have wanted to go anyway. So I'm probably the correct personality type for that. because I am extremely introverted and very shy, and it has been quite the, I guess, like, journey to not appear that way in public and at weddings and, like getting on calls with strangers and, I'm the person who like is trembling when I have to call the doctor to make an appointment. Like I'm like, "Oh my God, can my mom do it?" Like I'm 32. Like no, my mom can't call my doctor. So I feel like that was also a big adjustment, but it's like obviously that kind of like started earlier and like I do think that horrible sales job where I was cold calling people probably like prepped me for, talking to strangers. But
So how do
yeah, I would
you
say like, yeah,
what
go
what was
ahead.
what was the journey to like trying to balance that part of your personality and like being more like outgoing, and
Yeah.
like take charge on wedding days? Like what like how did that like what was that journey like?
Um, a lot of anxiety. Like I remember like before weddings and even before like sessions, like I would literally be like shaking. Like I was
Mm.
so nervous, like so anxious, like literally just like sweating and like couldn't like function. And it would be so incredibly draining for me. Like I would get home even just from like a session and like couldn't speak for like hours. Like I genuinely was just like it took such a toll on me like emotionally and like physically. Like it was so much work for me to
Mm.
be good at like the small talk and like making people feel comfortable, which like I do feel like I am like pretty good at now. So I am like proud that I was able to get to that point. And like you can ask my husband, like he will say all the time, he's like, you've like come so far from being like so terrified to like speak to people. I sound like I like genuinely lived in a cave and like didn't have human interaction. That's not the case. I would just be so nervous about like giving them a great experience and it not feeling awkward and like because that was like obviously the last thing I wanted. Like I don't want people to be like, wow, that girl was so weird. Like she like didn't speak to us. So it was like balancing the desire to like make them feel really comfortable and like I'm their friend, like that side of me, and then the other side of me that's like I just want to sit alone in a room and like not speak to anyone ever. So it was
Mm.
like it was taxing and I would be so exhausted. Like I would come home and just be like so drained like after wedding days. Don't speak to me for like 3 to 5 business days. Like I am not functioning. I'm better now. I've
Well,
overcome it a little.
I think this is certainly true for me, but I think that anxiety. Um, Sorry, I forgot to turn off my notifications. I don't know if you can hear that.
Whatever. I can hear it, Mike.
Oh my God, stop.
Okay, you get blown up. Is everything okay?
Hold on. Oh my God, I'm the
You're
worst.
like, let me check.
No, I'm turning them off. Let me go on. You should be off. We're going on Do Not Disturb. I'm the worst. Sorry. Here we go.
No, you're good.
So I think that anxiety, if you can like find a way to deal with it, if you can find a way to like work through it, like that can become your biggest like superpower, like as a photographer. And I joke about this, but I genuinely think it's true. Like you need to have some sort of like mental illness to be to be a good wedding photographer. And maybe mental illness is not the right way to say it, but like I will say my uh personality, which I've like had to do a lot of work on, like anxiety, depression, like all that, fun stuff. Like I've had to do a lot of work to like get myself to the point where I am now. And those things, right, like that, walking into a room, right, and like being able to tell like what the dynamic is right away, like that's a
Yeah.
superpower, but it's also a trauma response. Like, it's
Yeah.
not like um I feel like those things can become your superpower, like as a photographer, right? And that anxiety, right? Like that anxiety can become like a real motivator to want to give, like you said, give that like great experience, and so for me today it looks a lot different, right? Like I had the same experience like early on, being in the car on my way to a wedding, even when I was second shooting, just
Oh,
feeling
yeah.
so like nervous and so and like and also thinking to myself, like, why am I putting myself in these, like, why am I doing this to myself? Like, why am I putting myself
Always.
in these situations, you know? And it's gotten to the point now where like that anxiety has like mostly turned into excitement, you know, like most days it's like, let's say like 75-25 excitement versus anxiety. But like that energy can be like a huge motivator to like want to do a really, really good job and to want to do and to like want to be of service to people, right? So like I think the people that like I look up to and the people that like who I know who do a really good job have some version of that. You know, maybe it's like not anxiety, but there's like this sense of urgency to like want to give a really, really great experience.
Yeah, totally. And I feel like I've also gotten to the point where like I don't know if it's like you know how people have their like on a call voice when they're like on a call with someone and they put on their like call voice. Like I feel like I have my like wedding day voice and it's like what if sometimes my husband will come with me to like help or like take behind the scenes or whatever and he's like it's so funny listening to you like directing people because that's like not your voice and you like
Mm.
become this like other person and I feel like you just kind of have to like step into this like other persona almost like I feel like I become this person who is like so confident and like has like absolutely no doubt of what they're telling everyone to do like I'm like this is exactly correct like you're doing exactly what's right like do this and it's going to be perfect and then I leave and I'm like, ooh, was that okay? Like, was that a good decision? Like, questioning everything. But I feel like you just kind of have to, like, I don't know if I, like, disassociate, which, like, I very well might, but I feel like it's because, like, my like, true self is, like, so shy, so introverted, like, doesn't want to be, like, center of attention. Like, if I'm in a group of more than, like, maybe more than, like, two other people, I don't speak. Like, I never want to be fighting to be heard. Like, I am just, like, not like that and it's always been like such a struggle for me like in big groups I like genuinely do not speak like I'm like I never want to be like fighting to have my voice heard like that's just not the way I am so it's like kind of fascinating to me and like maybe something that should be studied that on wedding days I'm like literally screaming at people and I'm like everyone look at me like I'm like who is that girl like who is
Well,
she
I think that's really interesting the way you put it, like a persona that you step into, because you're right. Like you do kind of get into this flow, right, when you're like posing and directing, and I don't know, in a way, it's kind of like it's very freeing because at
yeah
least for me,
true
like I'm not thinking about the things that I normally obsess over, right? Because you're kind
mm-hmm.
of like you have to be like so present and so in the moment um, that like maybe I don't know. I don't think it's disassociating. I think it's really more just like getting into a flow, right? Like kind of a state of like being so present that you like tune out everything else.
Yeah
Um,
like a fugue state I'm just like
but like but then yeah, like when you're done or when I'm done, then those voices come back in and they start doubting everything and start being like, oh, should you have put them there? Or like, oh, you know, should you have
yeah
said that? Or
Oh,
yeah, like was that?
always, always that. I'll be like, oh my God, what was I saying to these like human beings with ears? Like, I mean, because you worked with me, you know, I'll like say weird things, and then I'm kind of like, ooh, was that like really weird? And they're gonna be like, this girl, okay.
But it works for you because I think as much as people want to see, um, you know, as much as people want that like confident and like sure personality on a wedding day, like they also want you to be a human. At least I think like my
Yeah,
clients do and your clients do. Like they want
yeah,
most people want to see a human because I don't know, like it's there's already so many things going on during the day, right? There's already like parent dynamics, family dynamics, friends being the center of attention. Some people like being the center of attention. Some people don't like being the center of attention. And so there's a lot going on, right? So the last thing you want is to also have to like put on a show for your photographer, right? Like,
yeah,
and I think you saying those little off the cuff remarks, which are hilarious, make people feel like comfortable and make people feel like, oh yeah,
yeah,
I'm dealing with a human here. Like I'm not just dealing with like a robot. Like I'm dealing with someone who, you know, like understands what's happening today and like understands me or is at least able to lighten the mood a little bit, you know, because I think as like serious as the day can be, there needs to be an element of like levity and fun, because it's their wedding day.
100%. Yeah. And like, because I'll speak to couples sometimes, and they're like, oh, like when they're talking about like style and like the types of photos, they're like, what's kind of your like approach, obviously, to like photos of us? And because I, like it's such a big thing right now, like documentary, like photojournalism, blah blah blah. And I'm like, well, that's not me. I can't do that. I will be telling you what to do. But it's also like sometimes people will say, we don't want it really like too serious, like we don't want it like too editorial. And I'm like, perfect, because I don't really do that either. But I always say like I want it to feel like you guys, and like you're never gonna be just like, I mean, maybe they are, I don't know, but typically you're not just like standing in your kitchen like staring at each other stoically. Like that's just like not you. Like you're probably gonna be like laughing with each other and like being silly and like having fun. And like for me, like for our wedding day, like I wanted to look back at those photos and be like, this is like so us. Like we're like laughing and having fun and like feeling like silly and like not having to feel like, oh, we have to be like so cool and stoic, which like yeah, like sometimes we'll throw in a little like editorial moment, like that's cool, but I feel like at the same time, like who's really like that? Like unless you're
Mm.
literally just like a model who is like stoic all the time, like you're probably like laughing and having fun. And like if I'm saying things that are getting people to like actually laugh and feel like I'm a little more like relatable and just like one of their friends, and they're not going to feel so self-conscious like, oh well, like I feel like I don't look good, or like she wants me to be this like model that I'm not. It's like, no, like we're all goblins, like let's be goblins together. Like it's just like why
Except for
not?
you, who you know thinks that there's a filter on the camera when there's
Oh
not a
my
filter on
god,
the camera.
Mike. I'm not doing this. No, I'm a goblin. I'm a
Yeah.
self-proclaimed goblin. Like let's be real. I just did my
No,
hair today, okay? Because I've been,
I,
I've been, I've been rotting. I've been rotting real good the past few days.
yeah, no, I don't want to harp on that. I'm sorry I brought it up again. Um, but no, so this has actually kind of been like a running theme on the podcast too. Is like, I guess like owning your style, right? Like owning, what your style is, but also, like there are like trends that are happening, have been happening for a while, and like how do you mix those things in, right? Like with like a tilted horizon or like a more candid documentary moment, or like maybe ramping up the grain a little bit in your editing. Like how do you approach that?
Yeah, well, I love a Dutch angle when it's appropriate. Like, if there's some movement, let's give it a little tilt. But, like, honestly, I just feel like you need to do things with intention. Like, I would never just, like, tilt a standing photo just, like, for fun. Like, I don't think
Mm.
that's, like, it doesn't, like, make sense to me. And, like, if you do that, like, fine. That's just, like, not what I would do. So, like, for me, and I always tell people this too, like, when I speak to them, because I do have people who we'll schedule calls and they're like, we just love like documentary photojournalism, blah blah blah. And I'm like, okay, well that's not me. Like I'm very like honest about it. I'm like, I'm pretty much directing you the entire day until like your ceremony, and then I don't speak again. And at the time I'm like, yes, I'm like done talking. This is amazing. But like I direct you. Like I'm telling you what to do. And like I feel like people, obviously if you aren't a photographer and you look at photos that people aren't smiling at the camera, like you're gonna say that's candid. You're gonna be like, okay, that like was just a moment that happened. And it's like, no. So I do explain to people like, I'm gonna be directing you where the best light is. Like we want it to be the most flattering. Like I'm gonna be telling people what to do, because the one thing that I've learned from this job, the only thing I've learned is that people love to be told what to do. Like there's nothing they
Mm.
love more. Like they do not want to make decisions for themselves. They want to be told where to stand, what to do, like exactly what they should be doing. They don't want to question it. They just want to be told. Especially on a day where there's like so many freaking things going on. Like they're like, tell me what to do. So, I mean, I've had clients where or not clients, potential clients who I've spoken to, and they're like, we just want you to like document the day. And I'm like, I'm not right for you. Like, and I think that's okay. Like, I want you to work with someone who's going to like better serve you and like do exactly what you want. And like, that's just like not going to be me. So, I do try to be upfront about that and like explain, I will do a mix of like traditional and then the more fun, like, I think a lot of people say this, but like not totally candid, like planted ones where it's like
Mm.
we're giving you prompts and directions to like have you create these like natural moments that or that they look natural or not. I'm like telling you exactly what to do and how to stand and where to go, but just like in a way that you're gonna look back on and be like, okay, that was flattering. Because let's be real, again, like if you're not a model, you are not gonna look good in candid photos. Like most people, they don't like me especially. Like I look at candid photos of myself and I'm like, I'm a sloth. Like stand
Mm.
up straight. Like no one is telling you what to do clearly. So I
Well,
do think it's like, oh, go ahead.
no, I was just gonna say I think most people don't know or don't
Oh,
comprehend what they're asking for when they say they want like
yeah,
a fully candid approach.
totally.
Because the percentage of people who would truly be okay with that is like really really small, and the
Yeah,
percentage of people can who will make that like look good is also very very small because like that implies that you're comfortable just being captured with your partner just being cute, like
yeah,
so like you have to like be cute together
yeah.
without.
No one's that cute. People just stand there and stare at me, and I'm like, okay, that was candid.
Yeah, so I mean, I think it's good to be upfront with people about like what that actually means, right? And what
Oh yeah,
it actually looks like, and probably like what you're really going to want on your wedding day too. And also like I've had a few experiences where I shot weddings where the couple truly did want more of like a candid approach, or maybe they weren't as receptive to the directing and like didn't want to do things in a traditional way.
yeah,
And you would think that like doing a more documentary approach or like a more candid approach would be a little bit easier because you get to kind of just be like a fly on the wall. But it's actually for me it was way more stressful
same,
because I'm used to like kind of, I guess for lack of a better way of saying it, like kind of checking boxes in my head of like what
same.
I like need to get or what I think I need to get. And when you're approaching the day from like a more candid perspective and just kind of letting things flow the way they naturally do, like that's great. Everything's going the way it's supposed to, but in my mind I'm like I'm missing something. Like I'm missing things that I need to get. And it just feels way more stressful and it's more difficult because
Hmm.
in a way you have to be like present and like on the ball like all the time.
Yeah,
So
no,
I
I agree.
I'd also be really curious to like look at a full gallery from someone who's like a true
Same.
like candid photographer. Like
Yeah,
are they really truly capturing those like just candid moments all day? Is there anything posed? Like what do the family formals look like?
yeah,
Like
yeah.
are there family formals? Do they even want those? And I guess it's probably like it is probably different for each couple, but yeah, I don't know. Like I would be so curious to see like what some of those full galleries look like.
No, I totally agree. And like all that to say, like that I don't do it. I am like fully jealous of people who can do it. Like I am like so in awe of people who can do just a completely documentary approach. Like I'm like they're amazing. Like they are literally so talented and I could never do that. Like I'm way too type A. Like I have to your point like this checklist of things in my head which like I don't know where it originated, like potentially Caitlyn James, which is like really horrific to think about because I'm like I can't escape that in my mind. Like shout out to her, she really killed it, just like integrating herself into all of our psyches. But like I don't know if that's where it began, but like I have these things that I'm like if I don't get that, I can't function. Like I can't like move
Mm.
past it, and I'm like must return and get that ring shot. Like calm down, like you're fine. But yeah, all that to say, like the documentary folks who just like go about the day and like get moments, I'm like could never be me. Girls got a
Yeah.
checklist. But yeah, no, I'm fully like openly jealous of them, like truly.
Yeah. I love I love that. Yeah, I mean, she definitely influenced me early on in my, career, like so much of what I learned about lighting and posing, and the way my processes, like I like those are all influenced by her for sure.
Yeah,
So like yeah, it's again like being I think the gift that we give our clients, right, is like that, or one of the gifts anyway, is like our presence, right, like our full attention.
Oh
um
yeah.
and like that's really like what we're doing there, but also we want to make sure that we're hitting certain like benchmarks too. And
Hmm.
it's I feel like that's kind of the dance that happens throughout the day, is like directing, giving people clear directions, confident directions, like you said, taking that off their plate, right? Like taking that, like not having to think about one more thing on their day. But then also like, okay, when do I step back? Like when do I
Hmm.
not direct? And when do I just let the moment play out the way it's supposed to play out? And I think that's also kind of ties back into like walking into a room and being able to read the dynamics of like who's who, dynamics between like certain family members, certain bridal party members, and like the couple. And like it's just this dance that you're doing all day of like being social, reading social dynamics, and like being around this energy. And this is why I'm like you, like I don't want to talk to anyone the next day, but
Yeah.
I have to because my kids are like, Daddy,
Oh
why are you
yeah.
not talking to us?
You're like, not
But
now, children.
not, yeah, there's no, like there's no break. Um, but yeah, it's exhausting. Like it's exhausting, and like, but I think that's really what you know. That's why we get paid to do what we do, is because it's not just the
Yeah.
technical knowledge of your camera, and it's not just like the posing knowledge. It's like combining all of that, um, the technical knowledge, the posing, and then reading of the social of the the social situation, whatever,
Yeah.
and infusing that into like one package that day. It's awesome.
I think your dishwasher has been delivered.
Can you hear it? Yeah.
I was like, what is that power tool? Um,
For
no,
those who
I
don't,
mean like,
for those who
oh
didn't
yeah,
hear this, I
let
told
everyone know.
Jill I I'm having a dishwasher delivered right now, and I probably could have postponed this to a later time, but this was when we had free, and this was when the dishwasher needed to come, so this is what we're doing.
You gotta get a new dishwasher. I would never have you push that off. Um, but yeah, I mean, and I think like to your point too, like it is so much more than just like the photos, like obviously. And I think that's the thing, like you can hire anyone and get beautiful photos. Like there are so many talented people who will like create a beautiful end product and like I just like don't think that's where you can differentiate yourself. Like I feel like more times than not, like the nicest feedback I get from people is like we feel like you're our best friend. Like we literally had like the best day with you. Like I've literally had people be like, we don't even like care about the photos. Like I'm sure they're great. Like we just like loved hanging out with you. Like I've had people be like, I was more excited to see you than my husband on my wedding day. I'm like, okay, like simmer down, like love it, but like oh my gosh, no. But I like, and I think to me that like means so much more than people like recognizing my work for being beautiful. It's because it's like so many people can create like a beautiful end product, and like I think it's clear when there are like associate teams that shoot, and it's like the work like pretty consistent, like even if it's different people shooting, and it's like the differentiator is like you and like the person that's like with you on the day of, and like I just like want people to like feel comfortable with me and like laugh and have fun and just like feel like we are friends, just like hanging out, because it's like already such a stressful day, and it's like being photographed is like kind of a really like intimate thing. Like it's kind of like I'm kind of like intruding on these two people like kissing each other. Like that's weird. Like that at the root of it, that's really weird. Like I'm like make out, I'm gonna like it. Like that's so weird. But like to make people like feel comfortable to like be themselves, and it's like I'm sure you feel the same way, like if you're shooting an engagement session and you like haven't met these people yet, like the first, like Caitlin James always says, the first like 15 minutes they're like pretty awkward and like kind of don't really know what to expect, which like totally understand. Like I would be the same way, but it's like you can really see like the progression like through the session once they like get used to you and like understand your directions and like are able to like kind of like let loose and just like lean in and like feel more comfortable with you. And like I do find that when I do engagement sessions with wedding clients, like they are already much more comfortable on their wedding day with me, and I don't know, I just think it's like giving a great experience. And like I said at the beginning, like I'm a personality hire. Like you're gonna get pretty photos, but we're also gonna have fun. Like we're gonna hang out. It's gonna be great. So I just think
Yeah,
there's something to be said for that. That
100%. And I've said this before, and I'll say it again. I think at a certain point, your like photographic ability kind of plateaus because like there's really only so much you can do within like the framework of a wedding day.
yeah,
And I think what starts to get better over time is your decision making, and
mm,
that kind of plays into like better photos, right? But it's not because you have any better technical knowledge of your camera or any better like posing ideas. I mean, maybe like posing can come into play a little bit, but I think you start to become, like you said, more intentional with the decisions that you make and the things that you do and when you do them. So, you know, that like that muscle is, I think, what starts to get better. And then to your point about like making people feel comfortable within those like first 15 minutes, like, you know, I think it even starts like before you even start taking photos, like
yeah,
that, maybe those first like 5 minutes where you're just like, you know, chatting with them a little bit. Like I think like that period is also like super important, just like introducing yourself and just kind of like, you know, the way you make small talk and the way that you kind of break the ice a little bit, and like, you know, maybe show a little bit of your personality in a way that's not going to make them feel uncomfortable, you know, like like yeah, like getting them to just kind of relax and like, and I always like the way that I put it is like you're kind of like teasing out their essence, right? Like teasing out
mm,
like the energy of them as a couple, right? And you know, with some couples, they're just like naturally comfortable being themselves around other people. Most are not. Like most, it takes a lot. It doesn't take a lot, but like it takes some time for them to like get into the session. So yeah, like those first few photos, like those first couple poses, like yeah, it could feel a little awkward, be a little awkward, and I love that like, and one of the things I love too for myself, like set the couple aside for a second, is like, you know, sometimes I might feel like I'm in a bit of a rut, like in the course of a day, or like feel
mm,
like just kind of like low energy and like not, you know, I don't know, super like excited, and then I'll like show up to a session and like shoot the session, and by the end of the session I'm like reinvigorated or like
yeah,
re-energized, like, you know, that session or that couple or whatever it was, the setting, you know, like, or the combination of all of it just kind of like brings me back to life a little bit, you know, and
yeah,
like, and that's kind of how, like, those are the signs that I look for to know, like, okay, like, this is where I'm supposed to be. This is what I'm supposed to be doing. Cause like my
yeah,
doubting brain, you know, my skeptical, cynical brain is always telling me like, oh, you're not doing the right thing. Oh, you should be doing this. Oh, you should be doing that. Da 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 da. And you know, like when I have those moments, and I would say like I walk away from most sessions feeling like, aside from the normal chatter of like I should have done this differently, I should have done that differently, like usually the overarching feeling at this point is like that was awesome, like that was so much fun,
mm,
I'm so happy I got to do that, you know.
yeah. No, and I think it is like so important to know that like everyone feels that way. Like I feel like we always joke in my photographer friend group chat that we're just like going into our daily spiral like once a day where we're like we should quit, right? Like we should probably just like quit and like never do this again because like we're horrible and like no one's ever going to book us again and like look at what all these cool people on Instagram are doing and I'm just doing the same thing over and over again. So it's like I feel like everyone always goes through that and it's so easy to get into like the comparison game. And I know it's like I feel like my non-photographer friends like they look at like influencers on Instagram and they're like I should be like skinnier and prettier and like have skin that looks like mine with my filter. But like I feel like I am not looking at influencers and like how they look. I'm looking at other photographers and I'm like I should be like cool like them and like doing these different things and like doing this like motion blur that's like so intentional and like beautiful and it's just like then it's easy to kind of like get down on yourself and be like, well, why am I not doing all this like outside the box stuff? But I feel
Yeah,
like I get to that point where I'm like, should I be more documentary? Like, what should I? But it's also like there's always going to be like that audience and like people who are looking for what you have. Like, there's always going to be people who like appreciate the more traditional and like you want to be able to kind of like deliver that mix, kind of like your question that you asked earlier of you know, giving the traditional like smiling at the camera ones that people are going to want that are kind of like withstanding the test of time with a mix of kind of like the cooler, trendier things that like might be kind of weird in a couple of years, but like right now it's like what people are wanting and seeing. And, you know, I think it's very easy to kind of like fall victim to that comparison mentality.
I agree with you 100%. And one of the things, and to your point about like feeling like we should quit, or like I should quit, like I had a few like situations earlier in the year where like I kind of felt like I just wasn't, a couple things had happened where I just felt like, oh, am I really cut out for this? It
Yeah.
was kind of like a little bit of a like, I don't know, a couple things like shook my confidence, let's just say.
Yeah.
And one of the cool things about one of the blessings and the curses of like being busy is um the curse obviously is you're just constantly tired and like
Yeah.
emotionally drained and like exhausted, but
Unwell.
also
Yeah.
like it gives you plenty of opportunities to just get like back on the horse. And I
Mm.
see what I did there. um
Horse girl problems. I've done that plenty of times.
but like for as many things as I feel like I may have not done well, or maybe fallen a little bit short, there have been like twofold or threefold situations where I like crushed it. You know what I mean?
Mm.
So, and I've said this before too, but like most of the times, the things that I thought I fell short, like turns out I didn't. Like turns out
Yeah.
it's fine, and I actually did a great job. But
You like call and you're like, oh no, wait, these are actually fine. Why was I spiraling for
yeah,
like hours?
yeah, exactly. Um, but I agree that like I think those are the things, struggling and then continuing to stick with it. Like those are the things that create like longevity in this industry. Like it's not
Mm.
easy. It's not easy to like, and the longer I do it, and again, I qualify this by saying like I mostly shoot for other studios, so like I don't deal with a lot of the front end and back end stuff that you do, but for the amount that I do, like it just gives me so much more respect for people like yourself who have been doing this for like a long time and still have successful businesses and still show up on like social media and still post consistently great work. Um, like yeah, I just have so much respect for people like yourself who do this weekend in and weekend out and just crush it.
That's so nice. But I do think that like the social aspect is like so big too. And I admittedly have been kind of like lagging on that lately because it's just been like so crazy. But kind of like how you were talking before about like the 5 minutes before a session, like getting people kind of like warmed up to you and like kind of like feeling your vibe and stuff like that. Like I also think it starts even earlier with just like personal branding. And like I feel like I'm such a huge proponent for personal branding. And like I said, I have not been doing it a lot lately, but like there's so much to be said for like speaking to the camera and okay, it's like it's cringy, but like people love it. Like I get so much engagement as soon as I'm like showing my face and like speaking, like even if I'm in like goblin mode, like looking like really scary, like people like that. Like I if I'm like clicking through stories and someone shows up with like greasy face, like messy bun, and they're like yapping to the camera, I'm like, I'm sad. Like like let me hear what they have to say. Like I love this. And I just feel like it's because people like do crave connection so much, and it's like when you are able to like see this person who is maybe like posting pretty pictures and like you like their work and stuff like that, but you get to like actually get a sense of who they are, like that it's just like there's nothing like it. And I think that's why people like Alex Earl are so successful, because she is just like so real on TikTok and like just like talks about like real life stuff. She's getting a little less real because she's like so rich and like flies in private jets and stuff like that, and I'm like, I can no longer relate to you. But it's just like personal branding is like so important. And I feel like I'll meet people at engagement sessions and like the first 10 seconds are like, I feel like I already know you, like I feel like we're already friends, and I'm like, I have yet to speak a word to you, my friend. but like they just are kind of already like warmed up. Like they like know what to expect. Like apparently I haven't been doing a good enough job if you don't think I'm funny on Instagram, Mike, but like usually people are like, "Oh, we like already knew you would be like funny and weird and stuff like that." But I guess I have to be weirder, so I don't know. I'm gonna have to pull some tricks out my sleeve on Instagram and scare some people so that Mike thinks I'm funny again.
Oh my god. Yeah. I
Take your time.
I shit.
Are you glitching? What's happening?
I feel like I just got called out.
No, it's fine. It's all with love.
No, so you are hilarious. You are very, very funny. Um, you know what it is? I think like, and maybe it's because I'm old. Like, I'm older than you. I'm 40. So the talking head thing on Instagram feels like very cringy to me most times. Um, like not just when I do
People
it.
love it.
Yeah. Well, listen, I do it. I go through spurts where like I try to be consistent with it, and then I'll go for like a month or two without doing it. But
Oh no, same.
the one I did most recently, um, it was like a long one. It was like 3 minutes, and because I'm super vain, I look to see how many people drop off from story to story, and I'm always floored that like the vast majority of people stick with it all the way through to
Mm-hmm.
the end. And
Yeah.
yeah, so I don't know. I guess I got to do it more. Um, even though I kind of feel like most times people just don't like people don't want to see this. Like, the,
Yeah, they do. No, they do. Like anytime I'm clicking through and someone's speaking to the camera, without a doubt, I'm gonna watch it. And like honestly, that's why I always put captions on too, because I don't want to listen to people. I like reading
yeah,
better than listening. And a lot of the times I'm like trying not to like wake up my dogs or something like that because they're my children. And I just want to kind of like read. Like I have my TikTok captions turned on. Like I love to read. So like that's why I always put captions on. Like I do try to keep it in more like kind of like bite-sized chunks because I know like people like short form video in that way. Like they like to like click through and like kind of feel like they're interacting with it. But it's
mm,
like I feel like people will like listen to that, listen or read or whatever it is more than if I just put like words on a slide. Like I feel like people just like want that connection, and I'm literally the same way. Like I eat it up. I'm like the TikToks that I watch that are my favorites are people like laying in bed with like 17 chins, just like looking so ugly, like talking about something. I'm like, yes, like this is the content that I crave. Like I just want to feel like you're FaceTiming a friend. Like that's just like that's the best. So I
mm,
don't know. I like all that to say, like, I haven't been good about it lately because, like, been in goblin mode every day. Even though I'm like, I would love to see people looking ugly on Instagram. So I should just do it. But I feel like when you're, like, unwell and just, like, doing so many weddings and stuff, I'm like, I don't want to speak to anyone, let alone, like, my audience. But, like, all that to say, like, I do feel like that's been kind of, like, one of the most valuable things I've taken away from, like,
mm,
learning what works well on social because like probably like 99% of my leads are through Instagram, like truly like so many of them to the point where if Instagram went away like we'd sell the house, like that would
right.
that would be it, like yeah, I'd be done.
Well,
um
to your point
yeah, go ahead.
about like um, feeling like people kind of crave that like authenticity. They want to see you, like they want to hear your voice. Like that was honestly one of the reasons why I wanted to do this was because I
Yeah.
like am curious about people like outside of the wedding space. And yeah, these conversations mostly kind of like we wind up talking about wedding photography anyway, but my I feel like at my core, I'm very curious about people in general, right?
Mhm.
Like I want to know, I want to hear your like villain origin story, like I want to hear,
You
like
got it.
um like I want to like yeah, I feel like those things are really interesting and like I love learning those things about people. So I feel like this has kind of been a really fun outlet for me to like get to experience people that I work with on a regular basis, or even like a not so regular basis,
Yeah.
and just like interact with them in a different way. And hopefully, I'm getting like my personality is like kind of slowly coming out. And actually, a friend of mine was like, you should do an episode of like yourself, like someone should like interview you.
Yeah.
And I was like, well,
Yeah.
I mean, maybe, but I also kind of feel like it's coming out in bits and pieces, as like each episode kind of
Right.
goes through. Like I'm relating to different things that people say and sharing, like my story, kind of in like bits and pieces. But I don't know, maybe, who knows? Maybe I'll do an episode for myself. I don't know. But, really at the end of the day, like this was just something that I kind of wanted to do to like just show a more authentic side of myself and like other people that are in the industry. And honestly, like I'm bummed it kind of fell off over the summer, but I'm also like,
Cut
yeah, I
yourself
mean,
some slack.
it is what it is. Like, I'm just trying to do it when I can, and
Mhm.
and I really want to be intentional with like talking to people that I just really want to talk to, and like put these conversations out there, and like maybe it'll help someone, maybe it'll make someone laugh. Um, I had to bite my tongue because I was going to say something really snarky. Um,
Easy there.
um,
No polarizing opinions on the podcast.
well, there was one polarizing opinion that I got into a couple episodes ago about Tilted Horizons, and
Oh.
ironically, after that episode, I said like the hill that I would die on was that I was always going to straighten my horizons, like I wasn't going to do like Dutch angle.
Mhm.
And it wasn't too long after that I actually like started playing around with it a little bit, and
You were like, why is this a vibe? I think it
I'm
has to
like,
be done with intention. If there's movement, yes. Like, it's like, oh, just like an effortless moment. Like,
yeah,
I can see the vision. I get it.
yes, yes, and I also think at the end of the day, people aren't going to care so much about like perfectly straight horizons. They're not going to care about a hair that was out of place. Um, they're not going to care about like the little details that we obsess over. Like people aren't going to remember that. People are going to remember how it felt, right? Like people are going to remember
Yeah.
what they were feeling in that moment. And this was my experience like last year when Caroline did my family photos, right? Like she crushed it. She did an amazing job.
Of course.
But
Caroline's the
like,
best.
yeah, she's amazing. Um, and there were like so many little like candid moments. Like, and I, in my mind, like my family, like we're just a circus. Like my kids are 3, 5, and 7, and we're just like a whirlwind, like a tornado that like just blows through. And Caroline was able to get, not only did she get like beautiful candid moments, but she got like, you know, a beautiful posed photo of like all 5 of us.
See, I
But
can't
like,
do that. I don't know how people do that.
but like, there was also ones where like Luca was like hanging on my shoulders, and like,
Mm.
they were like running through the water, and like, so if I wanted it to be like a perfectly polished set, like it would not have been that.
Yeah.
But like, they were still so beautiful because she like
It was
captured the
real.
essence. She captured
Yeah.
the essence of like what it was.
Yeah.
You
No,
know?
I love that. And then like cut to me like in the dead of night, like editing and like clicking up two of magenta, and I'm like, it's not good, like it's not perfect, like as though anyone would notice that. I'm like the greens, like literally no one would notice. And it's
Yeah,
just like, oh,
I
we gotta
know, I
chill.
know. I'm looking at histograms and being like, wait, that
Yeah.
peak is not in the right spot.
I, and like the consistency, like I'll always pride myself on my consistency, but sometimes I'm like, okay, nobody's gonna notice this.
Yeah, well, I will say, no pressure, but you're like definitely one of the most consistent that I've seen out there, like in terms of editing. So like, no pressure, but don't screw it up.
No pressure. I'm back to my magenta. Gotta get the perfect mix. God, white
So,
balance will forever be the death of me. Yes.
preach.
Preach.
So usually, like what I normally end on with these is like where do you see yourself going from here? Like, what is the next? If you can even answer the
Oh my
question,
God.
like, what does the next 5 years look like for Jill Sonner?
Oh my God, that's such a good question. You know what? Matt actually asks me that all the time. He's like, "What are you gonna do when you're too old to shoot weddings?" And I'm like, "Ooh, I don't plan to make it that far." But I don't know. You're like, "Whoa, that was bleak." No, I don't know. I mean, ideally, I would have a farm full of dogs that I rescued. I would have won the lottery and I would not work again a day in my life. And I would just photograph dogs because that's what I love to do. Yeah, fun fact, that's how I met my most recent dog that we adopted was I was photographing her freedom flight from Puerto Rico. So that's my passion project is dogs. But like realistically, I probably won't win the lottery. So like I guess just like doing what I'm doing, Mike. I don't know. I don't really. Are the dogs barking? They're like, let's say hi. I don't know. I don't really have like a 5 year plan, which is probably not entrepreneurial of me. So don't tell 12-year-old Jill that because she really thought she was doing something. But yeah, I mean, we're doing photography, we're editing, we're culling.
Well, I don't know. I also don't have a 5 year plan. I
Okay,
really asked
good.
that question.
So you asked
I
it to
mean,
get one. You're like, I'm sourcing opinions.
well, look, right, right, wrong, or indifferent. I'm someone who's always just been very much like I base my decisions on what's happening like right now. I'm not good at
Yeah.
thinking long term. I'm not good at like setting incremental goals for like a long term goal. I just never have been that
Yeah.
way. I'm very much like
Hmm.
this is what feels good now. Um, so I don't know. I really more ask that question to like get a vibe of like I don't know, like
Am I
where do you
quitting?
see
I'm not.
no, it's I don't know. It's like some people I feel like have, very definite plans about where their businesses are going and like what they're doing, and I think that's great and that's valid and that's important. And then other people are like, no, we're just going to ride this thing and then see what happens. And like
That's
that's
me.
kind of and that's kind of where I'm at too because look, when it's like busy season and like things are piling up and I just feel completely overwhelmed, my I'm talking to people. I'm like, oh, like I'm not taking this many next year, and then like,
Same.
and then when things kind of quiet down and like slow down, I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, like let's load up that calendar for next year. I'm good.
Yeah,
Um,
Papa gotta pay the mortgage. Like,
right,
let's go.
exactly. So I'm kind of you know definitely the side of like let's just fly by the seat of our pants and see what happens.
I'm with you. I'll be flying. I'll be flying alongside by the seat of my Hill House dress that I wear to every wedding.
I love that. I love that. I also low key I do love your interior design posts. I'm like very uh, jealous, let's say, of
Oh,
your clean home because my home is just never
thanks.
never that way.
Well, you have children, Mike. I do not. I have two dogs that are very clean girls. But thank you. I told you I tried to become interior design influencer in
It doesn't surprise
2018.
me. It doesn't surprise me. I mean, I feel like you could still have a future in that.
I mean, I got the girlies in the DMs asking for the links. I've got my Like to Know It. I make an incremental $38 a month through Like to Know It. I'm rich.
Look, passive income. I think that's the name of the game
It's my
today.
passive income. No, it's my
Yeah.
passive income. Yeah, I can buy a whole paper towel package a month from my like to
Well,
know it.
this is what I wanted to say about the like 5 year plan thing because I think because I'm kind of curious. I guess I am kind of like you know looking for like what other people are doing because like I don't know what I'm
You're
doing.
crowdsourcing.
I'm
You're
crowdsourcing a little
crowdsourcing.
bit because well, in my mind, I feel like there's only so many directions you can go as like and I know I feel like we've been talking for a long time and we'll wrap this up, but like
No, you're good.
there's like the educator route. Like a lot of photographers kind of go like in the educator route where they
Yeah.
like, create like posing courses or like business courses and like I don't know, maybe that'll be me. I don't know, but I feel like this is kind of my outlet for that.
Yeah.
But I also feel like the education space is so like crowded with, you know, again, posing courses, business courses. Like I just not that I don't care about that, but I feel like what's lacking
Yeah.
is real people, and like that's kind
I
of like
agree.
what I wanted to focus on here. And then there's like the associate team route. Like you can build up an associate
Hmm.
team and kind of like slowly phase yourself out of shooting, and then just be like the
Hmm.
behind the scenes business person. And I
Yeah.
also like I don't think I'm that either,
Hmm.
because I like have control issues and wouldn't
Oh, same.
trust anyone to like represent me.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like it's hard because it's like the education aspect is like what do I know? Like, do I know things?
Mm.
Like, I actually don't know. I'm like, what? Why do people? I will have people like ask me sometimes. They're like, oh, do you do mentor sessions? And I'm like, I would literally just like speak like gibberish to you for 30 minutes and then probably say like I'm a goblin and then they'd be like, why did I just pay you for that? So like, yeah, I don't know. I mean, like, not for now. Like, I think I need to become a little more succinct first before I do any education. But yeah, like, but I think it was, we came out of this from the passive income. It's like, yeah, that would be like gorgeous. Like, would love to have money coming in that I was like doing nothing for. So I don't know. Maybe I'll make some Etsy templates or something. That's like my, I'm like, what are my other skills? I'm like graphic design, interior design. I don't know. There's something there. But
They're
I feel like that's
100%.
future Jill's problem. Yeah, September Jill brain is like, ooh, we're barely alive.
Yeah. Just got to get through these next few months. Um,
Yeah.
yeah. No, I think just in this conversation and learning what I learned about you, like you're very multifaceted, and you definitely have some very like transferable skills. So I think
Oh my God, thanks, Mike.
I'm being really nice to you, and then like low
Yeah,
key,
I'm
passive
like,
aggressively mean to you.
I know, you're like, this girl thinks she looks amazing, but you know, she's actually pretty good at what she does. Whatever. No, but I will say this was so much fun, and you are a great interviewer, and I'm so happy that this is kind of like feeding your passion and hopefully like channeling some creative energy outside of weddings and shooting and wanting to be dead with all the work you have to do. But I'm so
I
happy
appreciate
that
that.
you asked me on this. This was so fun.
Oh yeah, I'm so happy you were willing to do it. And
I was
yeah,
scared. I was shy.
I know, and I'm glad you worked through it. I'm glad you powered through. Um,
I'm so strong. You're like, talk about
well,
yourself for an hour and a half. I'm like, I can't.
well, I mean, listen, like that's the beauty of it is really like I don't know. People have a story. Everyone has a story, and I think that like everyone kind of has, the right or deserves to have their story heard and shared. And we are business owners. We're photographers. We show up on wedding days, but we're also like people. And I think the more that we can represent ourselves that way to other vendors, to our clients, to just people in general, I think it's a good thing. So I'm stoked you were willing to do this, and I really had a good time talking to you. And
Dang.
let's do it again sometime.
Let's do it. I'll come up with some new material for you.
Yeah, next time have a better answer to the 5 year plan. question. Okay.
I okay. Well, you let me know. You let me know what the others are saying. I'm crowdsourcing too. Send out a
All right.
survey. We need
I
help.
will. I will. All right, Jill. Thank you so much, and I will talk to you soon.
Okay. Thanks,
Bye.
Mike. Bye.